We've seen anti-Muslim activities, we've seen anti-African American activities, etc. So, yes, it's anti-Semitism, but it's just a lack of tolerance all across the board.
This is becoming more widespread, and I've been very clear about an atmosphere of hate has been fostered in recent months in America, and we have to stop it.
As the governor and mayor indicated, we are seeing a disturbing surge in hate in our region, and it's not just relegated to our region, but we're going to, for this point of the conversation, focus there. New York City alone has a 55% rise in hate crimes, with anti-Semitism accounting for the vast majority of that. It includes swastikas carved in walls, spray painted on buildings, slew of bomb threats at several Jewish centers. Thankfully, nothing has been found. And this type of thing, as I mentioned, isn't just in the metropolitan area. We're seeing it in places like desecration of Jewish cemeteries in Missouri and Philadelphia, and we've seen other troubling incidents otherwise. Closer to home, though, 2 Jewish centers in Westchester were forced to evacuate recently after receiving bomb threats. County Executive Rob Astorino and local officials, they held a roundtable with Jewish leaders today to address the problem. And here is Astorino talking about the stepped-up enforcement.
Sometimes we want our presence to be seen, other times we're doing it in the background, undercover. We have an intelligence center that gets information in real time, and we can dig up threats that are happening.
So with this, we wanted to talk to someone on the front lines battling hate with Evan Bernstein, the New York Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League. Dom, you spoke to him, and he said this isn't a small thing. They're seeing this in big ways.
Not at all, Richard. This is real. 4 bomb threats in our area just this week alone at locations in Staten Island, Plainview, Scarsdale, and Terrytown. What is going on?
It's really been unprecedented for us here at the Anti-Defamation League. Just the amount of work that we've had to do to, dealing with anti-Semitic incidents, calls that we've gotten, our work with law enforcement here in the state of New York, not only in New York City but across the state. It really does feel like almost something every day, and the amount of calls that we're getting with anti-Semitic incidents and hate incidents is up 100% compared to where it was last year, and it's a very, very difficult time right now.
How do you explain the dramatic rise, the sharp increase?
Really we've seen this uptick really since the election, and for whatever reason, it's emboldened a large swath of people to feel empowered to do certain things and say certain things and act certain ways that we had not seen, on a regular basis like this in quite some time in this country. The kind of hate speech we're seeing on the internet, the kind of acts of vandalism with swastikas, now the JCC bomb threats and other threats of other institutions. It's very concerning, and it's something that we're now seeing a large trend, and law enforcement seeing the same trend. In New York City alone, the NYPD recently came out with numbers that in the first 6 weeks of 2017 versus the first 6 weeks in 2016, anti-Semitic hate crimes is up 115%. And that's incredibly concerning for us.
But why would somebody want to do something like this?
I think this is, unfortunately, I think a lot of people thought a tremendous amount of progress has been made, since the Civil Rights Movement and during that era. I don't think, a lot of those feelings may have been pushed down underneath the surface, but now, for whatever reason, they're rising back up again. It's almost like a coffee can, and the lid's been taken off, and you're seeing now this rise, and people are feeling emboldened. And these groups were always there. They're just now becoming more prominent and more vocal. And again, social media has also played a tremendous role in that, especially with, you've seen it with Jewish reporters. You've seen just a lot of hate speech on different social media platforms. And before, when the Ku Klux Klan, as an example, were demasked, and the ADL was a very big proponent in helping that happen, now these people can hide themselves on Twitter, they can hide themselves on the internet, they can hide themselves in different blog spaces. So they can get their messages of hate out, which gets out and resonates with a lot of people and emboldens them and gets them activated, and it's very concerning.
It seems like when President Obama left office, there was an explosion of these types of incidents. You have to be pleased with the tone of President Trump from the other night?
Yes. Anytime that the leader of the United States speaks out against hate, He spoke out about the JCCs particularly, other forms of hate. That's something that we really want to see from leadership, not only from the White House, but from leaders across the country at, at state level, city level. I think the biggest things now are getting actual plans in place. It's one thing to talk about the issue. It's about putting resources and having a plan to combat that issue. And so I think that's what we're really waiting to see now from the White House, and I think it's something that must happen.
All right, Dom, thank you very much. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears. And there was some news that surprised a lot of folks that came down regarding the Bidens, Bo's widow, now romantically involved with his brother Hunter. Unusual to say the least, but the question is this anyone's business? Stay with us.